Hey, what's going on YouTube friends and family, and welcome back to my channel, The Real Estate Real. I'm your host Tyler, and today what we're discussing is a common topic here in California, and that is residents have an increased concern right now for the homeless population in California. So as a California resident, you probably already had increased concerns for a number of other things here in California, like the increasing gas prices, the inflation that's going on, and the increase in home prices. But another major concern, if you don't already know about, and it's obviously presenting itself pretty blatantly here in California, is the homeless situation that we have growing here and the population of homeless people that are residing here in California today. So if you live in California, you've probably already taken notice to these things. Freeway overpasses underneath the freeways are beginning to fill up with tents and sleeping bags of homeless people who are just looking to get some refuge from the rain that was happening during the time, obviously, in December. It's not happening so much now, but maybe as a resident you weren't aware of the statistics and the homeless problems that we have here. Between 2018 and 2019, the homeless population in California actually increased by over 15%. And that's a pretty staggering rate because there's a few statistics that I'm going to tell you later on that will show you why we should really be concerned about these problems here in Sacramento. So right now in 2020, you know that we are already trying to recover from a global pandemic, which has left our state in disarray, and many problems have started to gather over those times. Some of the things that I already stated, like inflation and other problems. Well, as you probably guessed, it leaves California in more of a dire situation than ever before. California's homeless population increased again in 2021 by almost 7%, and that estimate left the homeless individuals here in California at about 151,000 people that are homeless or have been counted for the homeless population in California. And an overwhelming statistic actually shows that nearly about 30% of all the homeless population in the United States actually resides here in California as well. So why should you be concerned about the growing homeless population in California? Well, not only because increased homeless population can raise health concerns, but because it can increase drug use surrounding neighborhoods, and it can also decrease the property value around certain neighborhoods, especially if there's things going on in different residents. Where here in Sacramento you see places like Watt Avenue, which were pretty good to live near at the time. These are filling up with tents, sleeping bags, huge pretty much communities of growth that are of the homeless population. And it's just, I mean, I hate to say it, it is an eyesore for whatever city you're going to be in. I'm not saying that I have a problem with the homeless population in general. Obviously, I think that that the ones who are pretty much, have a mental disability or something like that have more of an excuse. But there's a lot going on with the homeless culture and population. If you haven't went and spoke to some of these people yourself, it is definitely something that you should look into and see about the homeless population and what is going on. So with the homeless population increasing in California, California leaders and lawmakers hustle to make drastic changes to our city and state in general, and the most affected areas by offering shelter and washing stations around the surrounding areas who are being affected. So another example of this is here in Sacramento. They actually turned a place that was called Miller Park into a safe ground for the homeless, where before it used to be a place where families could go, and it still is obviously, where families could go and do boating and things of that nature. But right now, some of those families are continuing to be deterred by certain situations. They might not want to go out there if they think there's going to be more crime or situations, or they might not want to dock their boat around a place where crime, or around where a homeless population like that. It might deter people in general from doing things. So that's why it's definitely a hard thing for the state to come up with solutions to try to house these people, because when you're pretty much when you're helping another person, you could honestly be affecting somebody else. And like I said, those home prices around you or anything of that nature Also, another good example of that is here in Sacramento. The city just bought 102 acres in South Sacramento, of which used to be federally owned property, so that they could put up low-income houses and affordable housing around the area that could possibly and will house the homeless later on. So, like I said, when we're doing things that are benefiting other communities and the other communities that are also in need, it can also hurt you and hurt the residents around you as well. So it's definitely giving surrounding residents around these areas some mixed emotions. But honestly, this, like I said before, the state's hands are pretty tied with the homeless population that's increasing year after year in Sacramento. And it's important for the city to keep good measures in place so that the homelessness doesn't continue to spread around different cities around Sacramento. And like I told you before, around different populations where it's just under underpasses or in areas where it's an eyesore and people just don't feel safe to live in these areas. Like right around Fair Oaks, where there's a homeless community that is gathered around there. There's gated communities and gated apartments right around the corner. I mean, right in front of it. So how would you feel if you came home to your apartment where you pay $2,600 or $2,000, anywhere from $1,800 to $2,600 in rent, and you see people that are pretty much just hanging out in tents on the side. And to be honest, like, I've tried to help communities like this, and some of these people don't really want help, and that's the hard part about trying to gather communities and better communities, is that not everybody's trying to better themselves in the community. And I'm not saying here that all homeless are bad people or all homeless people are there just because their choices or things of that nature, because I know that isn't true. But what I am saying is that not all homeless people want to help themselves and help the community as well, which could definitely be a deterrent on the community in itself in general. So it's hard to measure how we should definitely treat these people and populate these people and try to put our taxpayer dollars and other things like that towards the city's homeless problem and how we should manage that. So that's what I was basically saying, that it can give California lawmakers or anybody leading in California could make a hard situation for them in general. And with California's living expenses actually almost a third of the actual person's incomes, it's easy to see why the homeless population continues to grow. Although it is alleged that most homeless population also is coming from surrounding areas like Oregon or Texas and different states, because it was also alleged, in fact, that California was sending its homeless population to different states as well. So now what I've heard is that people are also returning this favor, as well as just to keep in consideration of the mindset that obviously people are going to start to migrate over from other states in general because it's warmer over here in California and things of that nature. So what I was trying to do pretty much by this video is make a quick video, so if you weren't already aware of the concern that should be going on in California for the things that are going on right now, you should definitely have your eyes open to the things that are going on in California. Because when we're all coming together to try to fix things, especially something like the homeless population, it's going to be a lot easier to control, as well as you want to be involved in these mandates or anything happen. Like I said before, Miller Park was basically transformed into a homeless refuge camp, and before it wasn't anything like that. So how would you feel if you lived around Miller Park at the time and they started doing things of that nature? Like I said before, you can't make everybody happy, but I hope this video pretty much brought you insight of what's going on in California right now, as well as what's going on in possibly your city. If you do live here in Sacramento, I gave you a little bit of insight on that, of course. But, of course, comment and post below your thoughts and concerns on this subject, as well as possible situations of what we can do to, create more organizations to help the homeless. I know there are already a ton organizations and more plans that are going to lead to a faster resolution of this problem. So I really appreciate you for tuning in today, and honestly, if you've been watching my videos, I greatly appreciate that in general. Always like and subscribe. I'm here trying to shed light to the situations that are happening here in California, also to narrow it down more in Sacramento as well. So I really appreciate you watching today. Thank you, and you have a wonderful day.